Have you ever experienced that rare and almost magical moment where the world seems to fade away, where your mind locks onto a single task so completely that time dissolves and you become utterly absorbed? You stop thinking about what's next. You stop questioning yourself. There is no friction, just total presence. That's the flow state. It's the mental zone where you not only feel your best, but perform your best. It's where creativity explodes, productivity surges, and focus becomes effortless. For many people, it happens by accident. You might recall it from playing a sport, from getting lost in a hobby, or from an intense work session that seemed to end in the blink of an eye. But what if you didn't have to wait for it to happen? What if you could summon it deliberately, almost like flipping a switch? It sounds impossible until you realize that flow is not mystical. It's not random. It's biological. It's rooted in very specific neurological and chemical shifts in the brain. And when you learn to engage those triggers intentionally, you can enter flow faster, stay there longer, and repeat it with startling consistency. Elite performers, world-class athletes, musicians, writers, entrepreneurs, they don't just hope for flow, they engineer it. And that's what we're going to break down today. 3 powerful triggers you can use to hit flow state on demand, backed by neuroscience, psychology, and real-world examples of creators who live in this zone. To understand how to switch it on, you first need to know what's happening in your brain when you're in flow. Under normal circumstances, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for conscious thought, planning, and self-criticism, is highly active. That's the voice in your head narrating everything you do. But during flow, this region partially deactivates in a process called transient hypofrontality. Suddenly, that internal chatter quiets. Doubt fades. You stop second-guessing yourself. This is why time perception distorts. You lose track of it because the very mechanism that measures time goes offline. Meanwhile, your brain's reward and attention networks light up. Neurochemicals like dopamine surge, sharpening focus and fueling motivation. Norepinephrine heightens alertness, anandamide boosts lateral thinking and creativity, and endorphins create a subtle sense of euphoria. In this state, your mind operates on a higher bandwidth. Patterns connect faster, distractions slip away, work feels almost like play. Here's the fascinating part. These neurochemicals aren't random, they're triggered by very specific conditions. When you meet those conditions, your brain can't help but respond. It's wired to. That's what makes flow reproducible. Once you learn the triggers, you no longer have to hope for those rare breakthrough days. You can create them. The first major trigger is the challenge skill balance. Flow happens in that narrow zone where the difficulty of the task is perfectly matched to your ability, but tilted slightly above it. Too easy, and you're bored. Too hard, and you're anxious. But when you hit that sweet spot, your brain locks in. This is why gamers lose hours playing, why athletes describe feeling in the zone, and why great writers get lost in their own sentences. They're operating at the edge of their competence, where progress feels just out of reach but attainable. Take J.K. Rowling writing the early Harry Potter books. She said that her deepest writing sessions often came when she deliberately left her house, went to a noisy cafe, and challenged herself to produce a chapter she hadn't fully outlined. That slight unpredictability, the risk of failure, forced her brain into focus. The work wasn't effortless, but it was compelling enough to draw her in fully. Similarly, Michael Jordan famously pushed himself in practice harder than most NBA players would dare in a game. That intensity kept him perched right on that edge where skills expand. You can use this same lever by asking, is my current task too easy, too hard, or just right? If it feels trivial, increase the stakes. Set a tighter deadline. Add constraints. Treat it like a game. If it feels overwhelming, chunk it down into bite-sized wins until you reduce anxiety enough to re-enter the challenge zone. Clear goals help here. Your brain craves immediate feedback to know it's progressing, so set clear markers. Finish 500 words. Code this one feature. Solve this single equation. Each micro-goal acts like a checkpoint. Every time you hit one, dopamine fires, reinforcing momentum and pulling you deeper. The second trigger is deep immersion. This is non-negotiable. Flow cannot coexist with distraction. Every time your phone buzzes or you check email, you snap out of the neurological ramp toward flow. It's like yanking a sprinter off the track mid-race. Studies show it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully re-engage after even a small interruption. This is why so many high performers design their environments ruthlessly. They eliminate friction before it can even appear. Author Cal Newport, known for his book Deep Work, writes his most intense chapters in a bare, quiet room with no internet access. Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps trained in sensory-controlled isolation tanks to rehearse perfect strokes without distraction. Even Steve Jobs was famous for his obsessive simplification of workspaces. Why? Because the brain needs uninterrupted time to downshift from its normal scattered mode into deep focus. The first 15 to 20 minutes of focus are a climb. Protect that ramp fiercely. Silence notifications. Close extra tabs. Put your phone in another room. Signal to those around you that you're unavailable. Flow rewards those who guard their cognitive runway. Rituals amplify this. Your brain loves patterns. When you repeat a specific pre-work routine often enough, it becomes a cue. Pavlov conditioned dogs with bells. You can condition your nervous system with habits. Maybe it's brewing coffee in the same mug, listening to the same playlist, or starting with a 2-minute breathing drill. Over time, these cues prime your body. We're about to enter focus mode. Prolific creators often have almost comically strict routines for this reason. Maya Angelou rented hotel rooms just to write, always bringing the same legal pad, thesaurus, and Bible. She barely used them, but they anchored her mind. That repetition turns focus into ritual, ritual into automaticity, and automaticity into flow. The third trigger is novelty. The brain's reward system thrives on what's new, unexpected, or slightly risky. Dopamine isn't just a pleasure chemical, it's a seeking chemical. It fires when you encounter something that might be valuable but uncertain. This is why new environments, new challenges, and new constraints often spark creative flow. Hemingway famously rotated between standing desks, cafes, and his boat cabin to keep his writing fresh. Designer James Dyson tinkered with over 5,000 prototypes because each new attempt reinvigorated his focus. Even tiny shifts, changing your workspace layout, writing with a different pen, tackling problems in reverse order, can provide just enough novelty to relight the brain. But here's the balance. Too much novelty becomes chaos. You don't want total randomness. You want just enough variation to ignite curiosity without erasing structure. That could mean working in a new coffee shop, but sticking to the same ritual, or experimenting with a new brush style if you're an artist while keeping your core subject. Novelty is the spark, structure is the container. Combine them and you supercharge flow. Here's where all three triggers converge. Imagine you've picked a task at the edge of your skill, eliminated distractions, and queued up your ritual. You add a touch of freshness, maybe working in a new space or introducing a creative twist. At first, it's effortful. You push through the warm-up resistance. Then something shifts. Your inner voice quiets, your focus sharpens. 10 minutes pass, then 30. You stop glancing at the clock. You're in. You write more words in an hour than you did in the entire morning. Ideas cascade faster than you can catch them. You don't even notice you're hungry. This is flow in action. Athletes describe this as being in the zone. Musicians call it the pocket. Surgeons call it the tunnel. It's all the same neurological phenomenon, complete absorption paired with elevated performance. But here's the overlooked truth. Flow is metabolically costly. It burns neurotransmitters fast. That's why you feel mentally drained afterward, even if you loved it. The brain's supply of dopamine, norepinephrine, and anandamide depletes. If you don't recover properly, your next session stalls. This is why oscillation matters. Deep focus must be paired with deep rest. Sleep isn't just repair. It's when your brain consolidates learning, pruning neural pathways and reinforcing new skills forged during flow. Nutrition and hydration replenish the raw materials those neurochemicals are made from. Even short breaks during the day matter. Elite performers often use ultradian rhythms, working 90 minutes in flow, then breaking for 15 to reset before the next push. It's not laziness, it's biology. The more you respect that cycle, the more flow compounds. And the compounding is staggering. Imagine stacking even just 2 to 3 hours of flow per day. Over a month, that's the equivalent of several extra work weeks of deep, high-quality output. Over a year, it's transformative. This is why tech CEOs like Elon Musk run engineering sprints in 5-hour uninterrupted blocks. Why chess grandmasters train with timed problem sets. Why artists like Picasso painted in isolation for long stretches. They weren't chasing hacks. They were aligning their behavior with how the brain actually functions at its peak. And here's the kicker. The more often you trigger flow, the easier it gets. Your brain learns the path. Your rituals deepen their association. The neurochemistry primes faster. What once took 20 minutes of ramp-up starts to happen in 10, then 5. Eventually, you sit down, fire your ritual, and slide almost instantly into deep work. This is why the best creators seem almost superhuman. It's not talent alone. It's repetition of this cycle until it becomes reflex. So how do you start today? Here's a practical experiment. Pick one important task you've been putting off. Block 90 minutes where you won't be interrupted. Strip away every distraction. Phone out of sight, notifications silenced. Set a single clear goal. Engage your ritual. Maybe deep breathing, the same playlist, or even something simple like making tea. Then, add a microdose of novelty. Work in a different chair, rearrange your desk, or set a timer for 25 minutes to add urgency. Begin. Push through the first 10 minutes where resistance peaks. Keep going until you feel that shift, when time blurs and focus sharpens. That's your first engineered flow session. Capture it, repeat it tomorrow. Then again the next day. Watch how the ramp shortens, watch how much deeper you go. After 2 weeks, you'll start craving it because it feels so good. After a month, you won't just hope for flow, you'll know how to summon it. This is the difference between sporadic good days and consistent excellence, between being productive and being unstoppable. The triggers are real, the science is clear. Flow is not a gift for the lucky few. It's a system anyone can learn. And once you do, you'll never approach work the same way again. Because the moment you can turn it on at will, you stop grinding against resistance and start gliding on momentum. That's the zone where mastery lives. That's the zone you were built for, and it's yours to enter anytime you choose.